For example, Siebel E-Pharma, Siebel Energy. Traditionally, basically, one of the important reasons behind this statement is that traditionally, all these small modules within one application in Siebel, they traditionally used to be separate applications. Like wherever I work now, like for example, in Alta Vista, if you see, um, it's a search company, right? So they sell search products. So they have multiple applications doing different things. Like for example, there is a separate application for expenses, separate application for recording contacts, separate application for recording accounts, separate application for recording opportunities, separate application for recording leads or entering opportunities or leads, separate application for lists. In Siebel, all these basically applications are into one single application. So that's what really this integrated word here means. So the whole like product line of Siebel is like this, that whatever like for example e-pharma for pharmaceutical industry would be having all the applications clubbed into one. Okay, and that helps manage customer relationships. What are the various customer relationships? Well, mainly three: marketing, sales, and service. We all understand that part. Now, marketing involves modules like, for every marketing application, every marketing application should have things like, one should be able to import the list. That is a usual marketing process, right? Right? You import the list into this application, right? Let's say there are 2,000 prospects who you want to call. So you import you import their data. It must have last name, first name, and the number. Then you import those into the application. You assign 20 people to each and every caller, or maybe 100 people to each and every caller, and you ask them to call. So you have 20 resources, you assign them 100 people, and then you ask them to call, and they start calling. When they call, they ask questions from them, right? They ask questions like, sir, would you like to purchase this? So we are selling a good credit card these days, it has a very good deal, 0% APR, things like that. So they will say all these things. So the application should be able to, and when they talk all these things, when they talk about all these things, then next step is, if the customer shows the interest, then they enter his entire information, his last name, first name, and the rest of the information as well as all the details of the credit card that is interested in. Then they basically apply for it. Then they click submit, right? So you need this functionality as part of the marketing, right? Then once they click submit, then it goes to basically it becomes an opportunity, account, contact. Then you have to maintain the relationship with them. Then the sales cycle start. Before that, in the marketing cycle, this is all a part of marketing cycle. So any application, previously all these used to be part of separate modules. Nowadays in Siebel, it's all marketing. Entire marketing thing is in Siebel itself. Okay. Is in one application called as Siebel marketing.
Okay.
Second thing comes is sales. In sales, what happens is, let's say that person, he applies, then let's say it's a complex sales. We all remember that sales is required. Siebel sales is required when there is a complex sales cycle. So anyway, so let's consider like, let's say, for example, in case of Alta Vista, they send out this thing. They call people. People say, okay, we want to buy something, but don't immediately buy. So what they do is, instead of, like in case of credit card, they submit the application. In case of Alta Vista, they assign it to a sales rep. Then sales rep starts calling them and says, hey, you know what, I remember that you showed some interest. So sales rep should be able to maintain his calendar, should be able to see who he needs to call. He should be able to manage his activities. He should be able to enter the opportunity data, especially how much money is he expecting, by when, like by when the customer will buy, and then all the details of the customer and the person to whom he is contacting, right? So let's say he's calling, let's say a company called as 1-800-Flowers. 1-800-Flowers is planning to put an ad on altavista.com. Okay, so he will maintain the account information, the contact information, and then the opportunity information, and he will enter that Alta Vista is planning to spend like $500,000, and this is the guy whom I'm talking to. So all this information has to be there. So this is a part of the sales. Now, so all this information has to be, application should be traditionally all these were done in separate applications. In Siebel, you can do all these things in one application. There are other parts of sales also. For example, forecasting has to be done. There are other parts also. For example, analytical reports or historical data has to be, required. Other thing is compliance. You have to show, like certain compliance. For example, like you need, like for example, in pharmaceutical industry, whenever you're selling something, you have to follow certain rules, government regulations, all those things. Then sales application should be able to process order also. If a person says, okay, I'm interested, you should be able to submit the order. If you cannot enter take the credit card information and all that stuff, you cannot get then the sales application is of pretty much no use.
Right.
Because and in the end, it has to record the sale. It has to basically be able to enter the products. So it should be able to, the sales application should be having the access to all the products. For example, any that POS device in the gas stations, it has a list of all the products in it. If it does not have it, it cannot do its job. Right? And I think that store guys, they have to set it up in the line. They have to set it up as in every new item they have to set. They have to set up the inventory also. They have to set up so many things. Is it right?
Yeah, we do that for coffee.
Yeah, so we do that a lot. So all this is part of the sales application. So all these in case of Siebel, all these traditionally all these were separate application. In case of Siebel, all these are into one single Siebel sales.
And that's why it's integrated.
Yes, and interesting thing is some of the cross-functional things like Siebel marketing and Siebel sales are also integrated. And then the last one, the last in the cycle in any traditional business cycle is service. So what happens is after a customer buys something, then he might come back to you and says, hey, you know what, my hyperlink is not working. For example, in case of Alta Vista. In case of Dell, he might come back to Dell and say, my laptop is not working. Then you have to provide him service. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's not free, right? Most of the time, service means like whatever is free. But anyway, he can buy, then he will call and you have to provide service. While providing service, you should be able to see what he bought, who he is he the person who bought the service or it's somebody else who's calling. Then after that, we have to see how many is he within the guarantee period or not, warranty period or not, all those things. And if he's not, then how much to charge? And if he is, then what all should be charged and what all should not be charged. Most probably all should not be charged. But whatever, like maybe it's parts and labor, maybe it's just labor. So you should be able to see his entitlements, the agreement with him, when it's expiring, when it started. All this information should be accessible to you, to the service rep, in order to do his duty. So traditionally, service applications used to be separate applications.
Okay.
But now, in Siebel service is one single application. It has all the modules, everything it has, all the capabilities it has. And in fact, Siebel marketing, sales, and service, all these three can be joined together. They all can be built on the same platform. They already are. So that's what integrated product suite means. It is an integrated product suite. Suite really means, I'm sure it's basically multiple applications, like a collection. So it says that it is, and Siebel e-business enterprise applications is not just one application. It really is a huge suite in which different applications are for different industries or different types of customers.
Okay.
So the product line or the product suite that Siebel offers, it really caters to different industries. Obviously, not one customer will not buy all these applications. Right? Pharmaceutical will buy only pharma company.
Right.
Pharma, and energy will buy only energy. It is built on a common architecture. This is a very important thing.
Sure.
See, this is the reason you will never go out of job in Siebel. Because in Siebel, let's say an energy company is using energy and pharma company is using pharma. You can very easily say that, hey, you know what, the underlying architecture is same. But what does architecture mean here? Yes, exactly. See, built on a common architecture means, basically every software application is modeled like whether it has 3 layers or 4 layers. It usually has 3 layers: database, business layer, and the GUI layer, right?
Okay.
So it will be discussed in the later chapters also in detail. I think in chapter 3, this whole thing, database, business, and everything is there in detail. So
it is, but actually it's okay.
it's
never mind.
not.
Go ahead.
It's an audio, right? That's what you're trying to say.
No, it is.
In chapter 3, you will see the 3-layer architecture of Siebel. So these are the 3 layers in any application. First one is data presentation or GUI layer, and business logic layer, and the data storage layer. It is also called as database layer. This is sometimes called as business layer or business logic layer, or sometimes called as middle layer, business rules layer. This can be called as GUI layer. GUI stands for graphical user interface. Or sometimes they call it just the interface layer. Sometimes they call it the user interface layer, or they sometimes just call it the front end. Sometimes they call it.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and this one, data storage layer, they sometimes call it as database layer. They sometimes call it back end. They sometimes call it the 3rd layer or the lowermost layer.
Now this is
where everything is stored. Yeah.
But it's also where it starts, because without information in here, you don't have. This doesn't have to happen, and therefore there is no this.
Correct.
Okay.
If you don't have this sound foundation, you cannot build all this.
Yeah.
But
so it's actually the other way around.
Yeah, this is at the lowermost end, but still we put it in as the lower low.
ठीक है.
Yeah, and this one, and it is quite it is quite right. He's not trying to say it starts from here. Basically, he's just showing three differences. I don't think he's tried to keep this thing. The only thing is it has to be in the middle. He's showed it correctly in the middle. That's it. He could show it, upside down, vertical, horizontal also. But whenever it shows vertical, it is always on the bottom. It makes more sense to have it this thing. Other thing to notice, this layer is usually presented by this like cylindrical figure. And this layer can be presented by just a rectangle, and this can be presented by just a rectangle. He has done a better job. So one very important thing is whatever you see in the Siebel application, when you open it, every day you open it, right? That you're looking at the GUI only. You're not looking at the business logic or the data storage layer.
Right.
And down the line, I'll teach you how to look into these two layers also, but it is a little bit more technical than just looking at the layer, at the GUI layer. So, but it's very easy. It's very easy if you get into it.
I'm gonna play with stuff.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
send me out on a job and I'm bored,
Okay,
I'm going to.
That's the attitude we look for, and we try to tell people that when you're very close to understanding what is a common architecture. Common architecture really means that all the applications, they are different. They look different sometimes. The fields are different, and the way the functionality is different, but the data model is different. The database, but still, they can be all they are all architected in the same way. They can be all talked about in the same manner. They all have three layers. One is database layer, one is the business logic layer, and one is the GUI layer. Every GUI layer is made of, in all these applications, GUI layer is always made of forms and list applets, and there are fields in it. In case of business logic layer, as you will learn in chapter 3, it consists of business components and business objects. In case of database layer, it consists of tables and columns, and joins, links, all the things apply to all the applications. It is not only, so the architecture of all these applications is totally same, right? We now need to understand some other small differences. We need to understand that there are two main type of applications: industry applications and it or verticals, and horizontal applications. So this first box, which I am highlighting now, this first box, all these applications, is written, these are industry applications, or it is also called as verticals. VERTICALS, verticals. These are also called as horizontals, all these together.
Customer and employee apps.
Yes. And the main difference between industry applications and horizontal applications is horizontal applications are used only for can be used for any industry, whereas these applications are used for a specific industry. For example, e-finance. It is used for the finance industries. For example, banks, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, Washington Mutual, they all use Siebel e-finance. Siebel e-insurance is used by the insurance companies. For example, BCBS. For example, BCBS is Blue Cross Blue Shield of America, wherever. Then there are other, like the Hartford Insurance uses it. Any top 20 insurance company, they all use Siebel insurance basically. Siebel healthcare, it is used by healthcare companies,
hospitals, clinics, so on and so forth.
Exactly. Siebel communications is used by
telecom companies.
Yes. So all the top companies, all the cell phone companies, Sprint PCS, T-Mobile, Verizon, they all have Siebel, and they all use Siebel communications.
Okay.
All the local bells, for example, like like Wisconsin Bell, North Bell, Southwest Bell, all these bells, which are now called as Pacific Bell, some are called as
Southern Bell.
Southern Bell. They all use. SBC is one of the biggest, like AT&T, everybody uses, e-communications. E-automotive, Toyota, they use e-automotive, e-automotive, e-energy. All the energy companies, like I would not get surprised if what these companies are, like these government companies, government agencies which supply energy to the states, they might be using Siebel e-energy. Siebel e-pharma is used by all the pharmaceutical companies. For example, Novartis, Abbott Labs, any company that like Pfizer, Merck, they all use Siebel. Ved Pharma, every company, every damn company uses Siebel e-pharma. Trust me. Siebel public sector, it is for government. It's a product for the government. I'm not sure what this product does, but we need to find out. I mean, you can find it on the Google and see exactly what this does. So the point is, these are all for industries. And these are, and let's say, what is a horizontal? Like it's for general purpose. Let's say there is a publishing company. They publish books.
Okay.
Siebel does not have an industry application for them. Siebel does not have any product called as Siebel e-publishing or anything.
Mhm.
So when they come to Siebel and they say, hey, do you have any product for us, by using which we can do our marketing, sales, and service?
Of course.
Siebel says, hey, you know what? I do have not a specific product for your industry, but yes, I do have a generic product. Why don't you use this? Right? And I think product lines of most of the companies are like that. Right?
Yeah, of course.
For any industry, let's say, we try to, segmentize our customers and try to give them specific products for their segments. But at the same time, if we do create a general product also. So if we don't have a product for a specific customer, then we give him this product, right?
And we can always make the changes that we need.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And by the way, these are not very different. So coming to your point, same thing. These are different. So you need to remember that you will be maintaining two sides. One is your knowledge. Second is what you have to tell others.
Mm-hmm.
So what you have to tell others is they are very different. But you must know for your knowledge, for your information, these are not very different. Database, in the database, there are only one or two tables or columns here and there are extra. In the business component layer, there are few business components here and there and extra. Once you understand how business components are made, it's like a piece of cake. You really understand what those are. And as far as GUI is concerned, it is just nothing. It is like there are different, the labels are different, the name of the screen is different, but that doesn't mean anything big. Fields here and there are added few. It's very easy to add few and subtract and add a field. So it's really not a big thing. But what Siebel understood that in order to get contracts from finance companies, they have to give the project, the application ready to go for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they started making Siebel e-finance. So like back in 99, Siebel just used to have horizontals. It used not to have verticals. So in Siebel 6, they introduced verticals, and it became a big hit.
More specialized.
More specialized. The Siebel e-finance and everything, they were introduced in Siebel 6. So this is America, people like, whatever, even if it's a small change, people don't want to make it. They want out of the box, ready to go for them.
Mm-hmm.
So Siebel e-finance is ready to go for finance companies. Now, one very important thing is it doesn't mean that they don't have to change it a little bit. They still have to change it, and they still have to spend $30 million, and they still have to tweak it. So this is a thing, in Siebel e-pharma, for example, like Abbott Labs is spending like $45-50 million they've spent, and that is only one division of Abbott Labs. They've spent so much money on it, and they're still spending money and making it work. Now, what does it tell you? So, but main thing is, had they bought a horizontal, they would have made even more customizations, and it would have required more effort to tweak it. So Siebel e-pharma gives them an edge. So they bought Siebel e-pharma, it's ready to go. They still have to change it a little bit according to their company.
Siebel e-finance, e-insurance, e-healthcare, all of these, do they also come in a vanilla version?
Yeah, this vanilla means basically Siebel e-healthcare, the way it comes out of the box is vanilla Siebel e-healthcare.
So
still they have to.
So that's different. So e-finance is vanilla is different than e-insurance and vanilla, which is different from e-healthcare.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Yes. Perfect. Yeah. And other thing is we have to understand the difference between employee applications and customer applications. So within horizontals, there are two segregations,
Okay.
sub categorizations. One is employee application means which are used by the employees, and customer applications are used by the customers. Whenever it is a horizontal application and it has a small e in front of it like this, that means it's a customer application.
Small e
in front of it. But if it is a horizontal application, because all industry applications have an e in front of them. So that doesn't mean anything. Right? They just gave it e, because of the fact that when they introduced this thing, year 2000 was going on, and everything was e. So they got hold of e, so they kept e. Like this e phone is gone. That's why they have iPhone now, right? Right. So
is that what it is?
Of course, yeah, because e's are all exhausted, right?
Well, I figured, iPhone, iPod. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So in the horizontal, when you see E, that's a little red light to say customer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Then Siebel started following this rule, like many other companies, they dropped E, then they kept E, right? Like there are so many companies in those days, they started with the name E. Then they changed their name to reflect that they are not a .com company.
Right, not anymore.
So Siebel also became confused, and they started with like E for customer applications. Then they started dropping it, for like some customer applications don't have E. Okay, so how much are they following it? It's really,
hit or miss.
Yeah, hit or miss. So, but slowly and slowly you will yourself know what it means. Like for example, Siebel E channel. right? It is not a customer application. It is used by partners. Okay. Although the name is E and it is also horizontal application, right? So there is no theory. They are following rules. They are following rules, whatever market dictates them. They are not following the rule, they are not making rules and trying to follow those rules and defeating the market and defeating the marketability of the suite. So they change the rules along the way. Now they are, they have the CBD channel, which is not a customer application. It's a partner application. It's used by the partners. Okay. So anyway, this is what we can learn from this slide. Then there are other applications like Siebel handheld, Siebel wireless, and Siebel voice. Siebel wireless runs on the cell phone. Siebel handheld runs on there are PDAs.
PDAs, yeah.
And
like trios and whatever you got.
Yeah, but then there's some Windows OS based PDAs.
There's Windows
operating system based. There's a Windows CE.
Aren't they all Windows based?
Palm is not. Palm is not. Palm is Palm OS based.
Oh, that's right.
The one I have is Windows based.
Okay.
But prior to that, they used to be Palm OS based.
Okay.
And what happens is, like, for business purposes, like hardcore business, but the purpose that we have, like, they say like the business, little bit TDAs and PDAs and all these things. They're not for business. They're just for checking emails.
Right.
But these guys like for medical reps, they need special handhelds. Like they need little bigger. So I have seen like a PDA which is of the size of like if I say palm, it will look like it's the size of the PDA, but like it's quite big. It's handy, but it's not as big as laptop, but it's quite big.
It's yeah,
right. Okay. Maybe this is 3 inches, 3 inches by like 7 inches.
Yeah. Like those little mini computers.
Yes, like a little mini, like a little.
It opens up. There's a
screen. Like a geometry box. It's really of the size of the geometry box in India. You remember those geometry boxes in India? Well, you don't know. Yeah. So, but there are geometry boxes in India. It's like 3 inches by like 8 inches, right? So it's like that. Maybe like foot. Yeah. So it's like that much only. This is pretty good. Pretty neat, right? And these are made by HP, but you won't normally see them because they are a little rare. They're only used for business purposes, hardcore business purposes.
Right.
So, but those are the ones which are manufactured by HP, Dell, and everybody, and those are the handles which are used for this purpose. Siebel voice, I'm not sure what is the new part right now. Siebel field service. Siebel field service is used for like we'll see. You'll go down the line, you'll see that Siebel field service is basically related to the Siebel remote client. So in chapter 4, whenever you see the Siebel remote client thing, just study it very well.
Okay.
Okay. So this
go back 1 second. I'm sorry.
This is one CRM. Okay.
This is not Siebel. This is a competitor.
This is not Siebel. This is a competitor. It's a very small company. They charge only $9 per user per month, and Siebel charges like $70 per person per month. And this is also a competitor of one of the products in the whole suite. Siebel has a product called as Siebel CRM on demand. This is the Siebel product. You can use it. You can see. You can register it actually, and I think they let you take a trial tour also. You can take a trial version. You can start using it. No problem. Similarly, here in the App Store, you can start using it. The only thing is Siebel charges like $75 to $70 per hour per person. Sorry, per month per person. So if like, let's say there are 1,000 users, the charge to the company will be $70,000 per month. This guy will be charging only $630. So let's say $9,000 per month. So the only thing is, it's quite good. Let's see what features does this have, and what are their different products that this company has. I'm comparing their various editions. Leads and web lead capture. Contacts. You can manage contacts using both applications of this company. I'm not comparing it to Siebel. Somewhere here Siebel should be there and there should be comparison. We are not doing that. Just to see what this company offers. This company offers opportunities management also. This company offers activities management also. This company says that you can do forecasting using Siebel. This says that Siebel has dashboard functionality also. I'll explain what it is.
Okay.
Document management, dashboard management, both these are there. Cases, that is service requests, can be handled using this system. Email marketing can be done. Customizable logo and menus, customizable drop-down lists, customizable reports can be generated. Integrated web mail can be generated. Is there.
These are all same features that we offer.
Siebel does offer all this. Siebel offers at least 10,000 other features too.
Right.
Okay. Even in all this, they do offer content management, but it may not be as elaborate as Siebel's content management is.
Right.
Then other things is all features of professional edition plus customizable forms and fields, shared calendar, premium webmail, products, quotes, invoicing, customer service, event management, project management, corporate directly. So it basically offers a lot of functionality too. Okay, you can go and use it. Let's say we go for online demo. I'll show you how it works, and it will be having a very limited. I'll log in as admin. You see these accounts? These are the various fields available, and these are the only fields available. You cannot enter one. That is a problem.
Say that again.
These are the only fields available. You cannot enter. You cannot customize it. Basically, you cannot customize this form. In Siebel, you can, right?
Right. But didn't it say that they can also customize these?
Let's see. You're right. Actually, you noticed more than I did. Maybe.
Well, no, it says customizable. Drop menus and logo,
drop
down list,
logos and menus. But did it say customize the lists and forms? It says here. You're right.
Right. Customizable.
So in premium edition, it is available. You're right. Perfect. That's what I want you to notice. I want you to notice, the things that you don't know, like dashboard and document management. You know what, invoicing and everything, like customer service, events management and everything, right?
Right. That all is in there. I don't understand how project management, but then again, it would just, the more time I spend in it, I'm sure I'll understand.
Yes. In this terminology, most really project management means like, see what happens is like, let's say, like Comcast. So Comcast, when you buy something from them, they have to come and do something at your doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a cycle to it. First, he has to, like the sales rep has to issue a work order within the company.
Right.
It has to be assigned to somebody. That guy has to have all the information of the customer. He has to go there, then he has to install it, then he has to test it, right? Then after that, he has to get it done. So these things are sometimes called as projects.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was a simpler cycle, but let's say there are certain companies which have some more elaborate things. For example, in case of one of the companies I work for, they used to install softwares for the doctors. So what used to happen is they will sell the software. Then they'll say, okay, they'll issue a work order within their company to go and install the software, go to the doctor's office. But installing the software and then checking and testing used to have a lot of errors. So their project cycle, implementation cycle was very long. So before they can start the service and after the sale, there is another intermediate stage called as provisioning, order provisioning. So their order provisioning is also customer facing.
Okay.
So can you tell me a company in which, in case of order provisioning is not customer facing?
Dell.
How?
Because they don't.
Yes.
They're not coming to you. Their representatives are not physically coming to you. Their product is coming to you.
Yeah, exactly. The end product comes, but during the product, they don't have to talk to you anything, right? They already took all the information during the customer. Yeah, perfect. Yes. And can I ask you something? Can you give me any other example where provisioning, during the provisioning, your company is exposed to the customer?
You have to do that right now with my cable company if you want to get internet or phone.
Any other company? Can you tell me?
What other companies?
Pilot, this guy, gas.
Right.
Yeah.
The gas company.
Gas. During provisioning also. So before service starts and after the sales, there is another middle. So sometimes they call it project.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you give me some other exotic example? Like these are all still related to the which people come, where people come and all that.
You know what? You can buy online windows for your home.
We saw another application. We saw another application called as AppShore, and we saw how it works.
Mm-hmm.
It has different. It also has the same screen and view concept. It has screens, and then it has these are various views. These are the various views. You can look at the various views of this. Interesting. Where are the various views? Just click on this. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it doesn't have the view idea. See, it doesn't have the view idea. It just has the account. You can see the list of the accounts. You cannot see the related contacts for this account. Can you? Not so easily. Oh, you can see it here.
Right.
So it has a views like listed like this, all in the same applet. So if you have million accounts and you have 10 contacts for each one of them, this web page will become very long.
Right.
So he didn't think that smartly as Siebel did. But still, it is not a bad idea. I mean, I'm just trying to make you compare. My idea is not to pass judgment here. My idea is to give you my thought process. The thought process is this: this performance-wise doesn't look very good because you will be listing contacts, opportunities, activities, everything here. So if let's say he has 10 activities, 20 opportunities, 20 contacts, 50 records will come here. The view this whole page will look too long.
It'll just look jumbled.
Yes. Exactly. But he does have views. Idea of views is still, he does have it. He has it like, but he has listed it like that, right? So when you enter something, you'll see it here. Well, idea is not the, and the main point that I'm trying to draw is not that it has screens and views, or whether it has anything or not. Main thing is, this is an application. Mm-hmm. It's a competitor. How he is doing this thing versus how Siebel is doing this thing. Just think about it, and munch it as much as you can, and that's really my idea. That's really my point. And you will see that they don't have this like vast array of applications available for different industries and for various general industries. Right. So,
but they make their money based on the fact that whereas where Glaxo comes to Siebel and says, hey, do you have something? We have we have the ePharma. They don't have anything like that, and therefore they probably make a lot more. A lot of their money comes from the fact that they have to customize so much.
Correct. Okay. Correct. Then there is a thing called Siebel mid-market edition. Not too much. It's just same thing. It's just Maruti 1000 and Maruti 800.
Okay.
Right. Really, it also has 4 seats. The only thing is Maruti 800 has a weaker engine, so you cannot put like 20 people in it. Mm-hmm. Maruti 6 people in it, but in Maruti 1000 I think you put 6 people. I think Maruti 1000 can be used to tow a other car also.
Maruti 800.
It can do that. Can it tow a Maruti 1000?
I don't know. Possibly.
But we are not. But we are close to other. And see, this is a marketing gimmick, if you want to call it. But Siebel mid-market edition has some lesser functionality, and it is good for only those companies which are planning to deploy it for only less than 100 users.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not. So this is going to be for smaller companies. Mm-hmm. Maybe like your company, for starters.
No, I cannot afford. It is even this is very costly.
No. But to say, if Gorn Singline Associates was to start tomorrow with 20 students, all of a sudden, if you needed to have a sales team, then they would probably use mid-market edition as opposed to.
Actually, they will use CRM on demand, because that's even cheaper.
Right. No.
You're right, but your point is correct.
Okay,
See, it is usually good for the companies which are making some money, which are making a lot of money. Like, for example, I tell you one.
The big Siebel.
I tell you, no, this mid-market edition. I tell you examples. Okay. For example, there are some companies where sales rep work is quite less. He does a lot of work, but then once he gets a business, it keeps paying for a long time. For example, when you rent, like for example, there's a company called GE Rail, which rents out railway cars for 10 years. Yeah. Once you sell a railway car, you don't sell one railway car, you sell 500. Okay, you sell 500 railway cars. Once you sell it for 10 years, 500 railway cars will keep paying you. Yeah. They have an inventory of like maybe 100,000 railway cars. They don't have a whole lot of customers. They have less than 4,000 customers. So they have 25 reps. Mid-market edition is perfect for them, right?
Because everything's so limited.
When they're talking to them, they need a lot of information, and the amount of information they have is huge, because each and every bogie has a history behind it, has a story behind it.
Bogie?
Yeah, they rent out bogies. They have bought bogies like 100,000 bogies. Then they rent them out. Each and every bogie, rail car, we call it rail car or rail bogie. Every bogie they sell, there's a lot of story behind it. First of all, when the customer takes it, he specifies for every bogie what customizations he wants. So in Siebel, you need to record all those things.
Right.
So there is a form which has like 200 fields. 200 fields. That's a lot of information, and they put all that information in that form. Then Siebel stores it. They in a bogie, just imagine what kind of customization will be there. What kind of everything is there. The door they want, the lining they want, the tap. Where do they want the tap? The color they want, the logo they want, the color. The lining, the lining and the mix they want, alloy they want, the kind of wheels they want.
Right.
And then these are related to only the product. Then there are things related to the order itself. We want it here. We want it. Let's say bogie is in Columbia, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio.
And you need in Columbia, South Carolina.
Exactly. Just think. There's a lot of provisioning involved. There's a lot, and then bogies do get, after 3 years they may not work that well.
Right.
So they need to get replaced. They need to get repaired. So there is a huge infrastructure around it.
Right.
They have just 30 reps, sales reps.
Because there's only so many people that you're dealing with. So, okay.
Yeah. So it's like another company is publishing companies. Publishing companies. One example is lawyer.com. These guys make a lot of money. Lawyer.com.
Lawyer?
Lawyer. They charge every lawyer a fee for publishing in their directory, right? They before internet they used to have a directory called as LexisNexis.com.
Lexis, yeah, I'm familiar with that.
That's for universities, right? They have a directory called as Martindale Hubble.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Martindale Hubble.
Martindale Hubble?
Yeah, they used to have this directory. Now that directory is, if you go to a lawyer, he must be knowing this thing. If lawyer friend of yours. But nowadays lawyers.com is more famous. Lawyers.com. Every listing pays them. And you know what? Once you sell the listing, how long will he pay for his life? So he comes, buys it, goes. Right? So they have like 100 users. They don't have a whole lot of users.
Okay.
They
so
use
mid-market, more based on the amount of users
Yes.
than even the amount of business.
Yes.
Because you can have 30 customers and then do $10 billion in business.
Good.
Okay, ठीक है.
Right.
So
Right.
based on users.
Yeah.
What is the ideal user?
100. If you
100 or less?
100 or less.
Okay.
Yes. So
Ideal user number for mid-market.
see, these are some of the things listed here.
100.
I would say don't read them. This is totally technical junk. I never utilize this information. You don't need to worry about this information. So this is one of the value additions I have. You don't need to read this junk.
Okay.
Yeah. So in fact, this whole slide is not very important, except that the mid-market edition is 400 users.
Okay.
Business entities. Similarly, business applications use entities to manage business relationships, for example, accounts, opportunities, contacts, service requests, activities, assets.
Sure.
Okay. So similarly, business applications use entities to manage business relationships, for example, accounts, opportunities, contacts, service requests, activities, assets.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of discussion about what is assets. Okay, we need to discuss this thing a lot. What is an asset? What is the difference between a product and an asset in SIBO? That's a long discussion. That's like responsibility versus position. It's a long discussion. It takes time. It may not take you much time actually, but it won't. Again, I change it back. I think it won't take you much time.
But we do need to discuss it.
Sure. And any person who's listening to this video, he must talk to his instructor about the product and asset difference.
Okay.
Okay. Account, opportunity, contact, service request, you know it. Accounts are the companies that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Contacts are the contacts that you're dealing with. Opportunities are, as we talked, it's an abstract entity. It's an abstract thing. It is basically what you're pursuing with these accounts and contacts.
It's what you're pursuing.
Right. It's a potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's a potential order. It is not an order yet, right? Service request is when a sale is done, then they call back and you have to give them service. That's service request. Activities is all the small to-do activities for all reps, what they need to do. Assets is, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
This is not the financial assets of the company though.
No.
See, Dell is a perfect example. Because in case of Dell, let's say you manufacture like 500 Inspirons 1000s. When a rep is selling it, he needs to choose a product that, I'm selling this thing. So this is a product. Will he choose Inspiron 1400 or will he, so let's say there are 1000 products, 1000 Inspiron 1400s lying in your inventory. Will he choose a particular?
No, because it's just one model. They're all the same thing.
They are same thing. He will just say one, boom, goes. It goes to the customer, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith wanted. He's a contact. Mr. Smith calls after 10 days, and he says, "Hey, you know what? I have a computer from you guys, and I need to get this service from you." At that point, he pulls a list.
The sales rep?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So then another Inspiring 1400 is sold to Mr. Jack. So Mr. Jack also calls one day. So he pulls a list of all the assets that he has. Will it show the same Inspiron 1400 or the exact one that Jack has bought and the one Smith has bought? What it should show.
From what we know about computers is they all have their own serial numbers. They all have their own identification numbers. Okay. Ideally, you would want that ID number to show up when you look up this person's. But if it shows you this is the type of machine that it got, essentially you've got somewhere to begin then.
Yes, but it essentially got something to begin there exactly. But then there might be some customization Mr. Smith might have bought. Plus, Mr. Smith might have bought on 1st August 2001,
right?
And he might have bought on 1st August 2002. You need to really know when did he buy. And let's say Mr. Jack says, "I have this problem." Do you think Mr. Smith's asset will also have that problem?
Yeah, it's not. There's not a guarantee, but there's a possibility.
There's a possibility. But in the 90% cases, we are not really, in general, generic sense, this is not going to happen.
Right.
In a generic manner, we can all assume that, oh, you know what, this is totally different. Oh, this doesn't make any sense. He could have his own problems. He could have his own problems.
Right.
And then there are sometimes common problems in the lot, but that's a different story, right?
Okay.
Right. So a day-to-day call is basically about their own, their asset, the thing that you've sold to them, that exact piece, not the model.
So the user is managing the assets that have been sold to the account.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So a product that has been sold to somebody. See, so important thing is, as you see, the instance is very important in case of asset. The exact instance has to be known and all the attributes of that instance. For example, when you were selling it to Mr. Smith, if you had put 15-inch monitor, and you had given 2 GB RAM and 80 GB hard disk, you should see somewhere. And that is a property of Mr. Smith's laptop. That is not the property of Mr. Jack's laptop.
Or of a regular Inspiron 1500,
exactly.
1400. Okay.
Right?
So now you've got all of the details with this account.
Yes. So when you're selling the product, you're always selling Inspiron 1400. Right? So important thing is, why it is so important. See, when you are selling something, you don't need to see all the 1,000 things that are available in the inventory. It is important for the inventory management system that we have manufactured 1,000 and one has been sold and now 999 are left. They cannot say, I don't know how much is left, but we manufactured something and one is gone. They cannot say like this. They have to say exactly.
Right.
But this is important for that inventory management. It is important for us. For sales rep, he should just know Inspiron 1400s are there or not. Can I sell them? And when he sells, he just sells. But for the service rep, again, it becomes very important which particular instance was sold. And that instance has nothing to do with the things in the lot. The instance will have the agreement details, the guarantees, the warranties, the exact configuration that he took, all this information with it. And
who enters that? The user?
While entering the order,
the user will enter that.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Or maybe, right? So once it is entered, let's say March 1st, 2001, he bought it. But then for the next whole 3 years, it should be available to the service representative. All the information that was entered while buying the computer. And then let's say on that asset, some service is performed on 2nd April 2002, after 1 year. That information also has to be there on that asset. So everything has to be related to that asset. Can I relate it to the Inspiron 1400 that on Inspiron 1400 I gave this service? No. If I gave it to the if I associate that record to the Inspiron 1400, it will be shown to everybody. It will be shown on Mr. Jack's laptop also, although the service was given only to Mr. Smith.
Okay, say that again. I'm sorry. One more time.
Yeah.
If you do what?
Some service. Let's say you change some part. You change the chassis of the laptop.
Right.
And you want to record so that Mr. Smith, when he calls again after 2 years, he says, hey, you know what? I have this another problem. Then you should be able to see what all he bought.
What you've already done.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? Do you think that whatever you have already done, let's call it repair work, repair work record, or that form that you're filling, that should be associated with Mr. Jack's laptop, or it should be associated with everybody's laptop?
Well, no, I mean, it's only Jack's laptop.
Exactly. So it is a property of only that instance. It is not a property of every Inspiron 1400.
Okay.
Right? When you are selling it, you just don't need to see, you can pick anyone and just give it to him. But when you are giving the service, you have to give it
only to individual.
So instance becomes important.
Okay.
Right? Let's say I come to you and say, hey, you know what? Can you tell me how many laptops are out there in the market for which we need to provide service? I want to analyze how much money I need to spend on the service in the next 1 year. Each and every instance is important. Each and every instance. You cannot, right? Is it right?
Yeah.
Right? And similarly, let's say I want to, for example, car business. Now, in car business, very clear now. Assets are very important, because their cost of service is very high. So they have to remember, they have to know what they sold, how much warranty they gave, what all has been done, whether this oil change was done or not, whether this service, they give free services also, right? So they have to remember, if they don't track the asset, they cannot do a good job. They have to give a free service at 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 25,000, right? Right? Let's say after 10,000 miles, customer crashes his car, right? And he buys another one. Do you think at the 15,000 service is pending now? No. So they have to record the asset. So they should say this asset is gone.
Right.
Or should they say this product is gone?
Well, the asset is gone.
Asset
product continues. Product exists.
Products exist. Right? So the point is, every instance, whenever you have to record every instance, it becomes very important because there's a lot of cost attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of reporting attached to it. And that's why there is a special name for it in Siebel. We call it asset. And that's why there's a special functionality around it. How to manage the assets, and these assets are basically not your assets, as you can see. These are your customers' assets, which you are basically managing for them,
mm-hmm.
right? And you're paying for it. So, in free service, right? So, this whole asset management is a very important functionality in Siebel.
Okay.
Right? It's a very big part of the service request management. You cannot give the service to people if you don't know what they bought.
Right.
Right? When you call AT&T, you say, hey, you know what? I want to know how many minutes are sold, how much is my bill. The first thing they ask is, can I just pull your information?
Yeah, what's your name, what's your number?
Yeah, they want your name and everything. And after that, they want to see what you bought. You bought a 700-minute plan. So that's your asset. That's the asset record. They need to know exactly what you bought. But when you're buying, you cannot say, I want you, out of 15 plans, you can say this one I want. Right?
But you don't want plan number 3 of this one.
Exactly.
I just want this plan.
Yeah, you want this plan. So, right? So and when they're billing, they need to maintain, let's say you're on a 700-minute plan and you cross 700 minutes. So they should charge you according to your asset details,
mm-hmm.
like 25 cents for every extra minute.
Right.
Let's say somebody is 1,000 minutes plan. They should not charge him 25 cents, mm-hmm. right? They should charge him after 1,000 minutes.
So that's asset management.
That's asset management going on. So asset management is a very important piece. It's a very complex piece also. We'll get into the intricacies of all this. These are the main entities of Siebel. We learn a little bit about these entities because it will help us in understanding the other entities, right? Whenever you go there. So account information, you know how to manage the accounts, right? You need to enter that information. You need to manage their relationship with other things. So we'll get into all these things one by one. Okay.
Okay.
So you know what is an account. Account is a business external to your company. What is the meaning of external here? So is a business external to your company. Any business that is not you mm-hmm. is your basically an account. And it has to be a business, not a person. If it's a person, it will be entered as a content, as we learn in the next slide.
Okay.
Right? So any business that you're dealing with, that business will be set up as an account in Siebel. The rep will be entering that as an account.
Okay.
Right? Second thing is represents a current or potential client, a business partner or a competitor. Yes. Usually it will be a client or even a partner or even a client. They will all be entered as account here. So this is very interesting. Account usually means a client. But if you are dealing with a partner, let's say you and your partner are selling together. So you will be organization. As far as Siebel entities are concerned, Siebel, there is an entity in Siebel called as organization, and that will be you, your company, the company that is using Siebel.
Right.
Rest of all the companies will be account. It could be a client or a business partner or a competitor. Usually people forget that a competitor or a business partner is also an account, but they are. We should remember that part. Okay. Contact. Where is contact? Opportunity is the potential revenue generating event. Mm-hmm. Right?
Opportunity.
Yes. Okay. See, it's a very abstract entity. If you don't understand this thing, you need to discuss it with your trainer. At this point, I'll say an order minus victory, that you haven't won that order, is an opportunity. It's a potential honor. Right? We all understand, because of the fact we all do not know what an opportunity is, because we all are part of very simple sales cycles. For example, we go to Walmart. If we go and simply order things, we come back. There is nothing like an opportunity. in those cases. But just imagine, for example, you said in case of when Siebel is selling themselves something, right? So um, let's say in case of Boeing, let's say customer goes to Boeing and wants to buy an aeroplane. What do you say? He goes and says $30 billion, give me 20 planes.
Yeah.
They negotiate these terms for 20, so 2 years, sometimes 1 month, 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 years, and they buy 20 planes. These are huge orders. There's a huge cycle from the day the customer showed the interest to the day the customer places the order. Whatever you are doing is called as pursuing an opportunity, right, in English. That same concept is applicable in Siebel also. He enters an opportunity and says, hey, you know what, I see a potential. This guy might buy 20 planes and 10 billion, and worth 10 billion. The order will be worth 10 billion, whatever. And that thing, and he will be logging how much he wants to, plans to, he thinks he can make, by when he thinks this opportunity will get closed, and so on and so forth. These are the various attributes of opportunity. Then he enters activities for this opportunity. What I'm planning to do, I'll go and make a presentation. I'll take these people with me, make sure I'll give them a demo. I'll tell them the salient features of our new model versus our previous model versus competitors' models. He will give all this. He'll make presentations for all this and make sure that he wins that opportunity. All that, there is a record in Siebel called as opportunity, and that's what it really means. This is the best I can do at this point. If you don't understand this thing completely, you need to talk to your trainer. Right? Contact is a person with whom you do business. So account is a business.
This is the entity.
Is the entity.
And this is the individual.
Yes. Yeah. This is the individual. So but you will not be talking to the CEO. You will not be talking to the company. There's a person you will always talk to the company. That person is your contact. So whosoever you are talking to, he will be entered here. You means sales rep, right? User or sales rep or the user, the service rep. Whosoever he is dealing with, he'll enter the contact here. So you as a BA will tell him to enter his contacts in this screen. Okay. Has the following characteristics. So contact has a name, and you need to capture his job title, email address. Anything that you need to capture for a contact, you will be entering here. Let's say you want to enter his cell number, what his address, if his address is applicable in your business. Yeah. Right. Service request is a request from a customer for information or assistance with a problem related to products or services purchased from your company. Products or services are basically assets. Assets that they purchase from your company. If they have any question, if they need any repair work, there is assistance, they can call you. You'll be logging it as a service request, right? Whenever you call, you must be getting a survey email also, right? Right? You must be called AT&T and all.
Yeah, I always get emails afterwards.
Yeah, that is a very important part of the service request functionality. The survey integration is very important. Immediately an email should go out and customer should tell him whether it's good or bad, and the service request should get tagged with that. Right? It has the following characteristics: status, severity, priority. I think there are even more important statuses like what kind of service was provided, what was his issue, right? All the summary, problem.
I would think issues, because that way you can head off at the pass in case you're having a repeating issue.
Correct. The functionality that you just said is called as knowledge-based functionality, and that's very important. Siebel does not provide
knowledge-based functionality.
Yeah.
Sweet. Mechanically, can we add that in? Can we talk to the developer and have that added in, or I guess not?
There is a very important tool called as I think I'm forgetting the name. Correct. I mean, I'm not sure. Just don't hold me to that name. But there is a tool. Let's call it Fulcrum for the timing. I think it's a search server. So no, the Fulcrum. I won't.
Whatever the name is.
Whatever the name is. That comes. That's another company. They say you can integrate us with Siebel without any issues. They come out of the box ready for Siebel. So Siebel says, okay, Siebel is also recommending that product to their customers. If you want to have the knowledge-based functionality along with service request, then do this thing.
Why don't they just buy Fulcrum then?
They have probably bought it.
Okay,
okay. So
sorry, मैं तो मार्केट से चल रहा है.
Business.
Why sell it when you can just own it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Activity is a specific task or event to be completed, has the following characteristics: start date and due date, priority. After discussing these four entities, let me talk about the main riddles. What is the main gist of these entities? See, okay, we understood account and contact. Let me give you a small riddle. Let's say it's a pharma company. For let's say you're doing it for Abbott Labs. Okay, you have doctors. You'll be dealing with doctors. They will be your accounts to contact. So my question to you is, what do you think? They will be your accounts or contacts?
Well, they are businesses, so there will be an account. However, each account will have the contact. Now, if you've got, if it was just an individual that didn't have a business, like a B2C sale, then it goes in as only a contact. That's what you explained to me earlier, correct?
But in case of Abbott Labs, what do you think?
Okay, in case of Abbott Labs, it would go in as a contact. I would presume that it would go in as a contact.
Why not as an account?
Because an account would mean that if you're pharma, okay, you call a doctor's office. You have 3 doctors in one office. If you try to make an account and you have one contact, then you've kind of removed yourself from these other 2 doctors. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you set it up as a contact, you can say, this is the person, this is the business that they work with, but this is our contact. Primarily, you're trying to be in touch with the contact more than you're trying to be in touch with the business.
Yeah. So you're saying it's basically a hospital where there are multiple doctors. So hospital will be business, account, and the doctor will be contact.
Will be the contact.
But let's say it's a clinic, small clinic.
As a small clinic, I would say that it's still the same thing, but the fact that you keep repeating it makes me feel like it would be an account, and then the doctor would be the contact.
No, I won't give you any hint.
Okay, well then I would still believe, even if it's a clinic, the fact that there's multiple people in this one business, that I would still make it a contact-based record more than an account-based record.
Yeah. So what is the feature of an account that you have kept in mind while thinking like this?
Primarily B2B and B2C, what we were talking about earlier.
Can you please explain what is that?
Business to business?
I understand, but can you elaborate for the context?
Okay. When you say there is a clinic, not apply.
Perfect.
For all 3
So
groups.
you're saying that there are 3 doctors, one is a cardiologist. So if you meet the cardiologist, you're going to be giving him only the cardiac drug. So both other doctors do not come into the picture.
Right.
So
and if you create just an account, then you're going to have duplicate accounts later. If you just try to follow that reason and rationale, you'll have duplicate accounts because then you'll have this doctor and this doctor who now work for one company.
Perfect.
Okay.
So now my thing is, let's say you sell them the drugs too. Obviously, in the end, you give them 100 drugs also.
Okay.
Especially in India, here it does not happen, but in India it does happen. But let's say you do, and you'll be basically making money at the end of the day. So you'll be invoicing them. So will you be invoicing the doctor? You'll be invoicing the group of the 3 people. You'll invoice the business. So let's say let's call it Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. So Mr. B's invoice and Mr. C's invoice is basically all one. So, you see, do you think there is an application of the doctor will be contact? I understand, but then something has to be an account. So Rogers Place Clinic will be account. Is right? ABC will be the contacts there, and their type will be doctor.
Okay.
Other important thing is, let's say you want to maintain Rosie, who works there as a receptionist. Does she work for Mr. A, Mr. B, or Mr. C? She works
for the company.
She works for the company.
Okay.
Right? So, Mr. C is your contact. Sorry, Rosie is your contact for Dr. A, B, and C, all 3. Is it right? So that means it should be there as part of some umbrella entity. So you have to create an umbrella entity.
That makes sense. Yeah.
The account as well as the ABC. So let's try to understand this very interesting point called as umbrella entity. Your thought process was unique. Actually, I never heard that. In fact, it has given me an idea to explain this concept now. It depends on the process. If you don't have to call Rosie and you don't have to meet her, you don't need to maintain a record that Rosie is working in the same clinic where all these 3 people are. So then you don't need all this information, right? Rosie, you don't need the clinic name, you don't need the Rosie name. But if part of your process is to find out the receptionist that I'm calling, who all doctors can she help me get in touch with, then you need to maintain an umbrella, the kind of the thing which keeps all 3 together.
All encompassing.
Other example is invoice. Had there been no invoicing, then you don't need to worry about their relationship. Their relationship is that A, B, C, all 3 work for C. for same company.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, here's a quick question.
So your point is, the point that I can see is, your point really is, it depends on the processes that we want to implement in Siebel, and that's what really defines what we should do.
Enter them as.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
It is perfectly case by case only.
Okay.
Let me tell you
So
something.
it's okay to go case by case on
Yes.
that. Okay, ठीक है.
Yes. And it is a big riddle in every company that you go to. There will be a big riddle. Hey, who are your customers? Sometimes it will be very easy. Sometimes it will be not. For example, in case of pharma companies, it is never easy.
Of course.
Right? Because sometimes the same kind of person, doctor, could be just one individual in the office. There may not be any Rosie at all. There may be just one doctor in the office, and he might be doing business as Dr. Raghav, doing business as on his own social security number. In that case, he is
a contact.
Yeah. And you cannot set him up as an account because he doesn't have any such attribute.
Right.
Right? When you invoice him, you need to have his SSN. Right? Same way, Dr. Anil could be actually a part of a clinic. He might be having 16 other doctors in his same clinic.
Right.
Right? And they might be having 3 receptionists or 1 receptionist. So in case of pharma companies or wherever you are dealing with this, it's a big riddle. Now let's come to Alta Vista. They have a big problem too. You know why? Their problem is something else. Let's try to understand their problem.
Okay.
See, a company comes, their name is 1-800-Flowers. They say, let's sign up with this company. So they enter they call the rep enters their company name, enters everything, right? Everything, and enters their user ID, main thing. It is user ID that company has, and then puts clicks and everything information. Perfect. That company calls again and says, we want to create another account. You say, hey, you already have an account. Let me create another opportunity and a new order. I say, no, I want a different username also. You say, okay, under the same account, I'll give you another username, 2 usernames. No, he says, we want a different bill also. Yeah. We want a different bill also. Because it's a separate works we are doing. We are doing something, 2 separate things. I just want you to give me 2 bills. Everything should
One
be
is the lab that does research and one is a doctor. Let's put it like that.
Yeah. And they just want
their own thing.
So they have duplicate accounts in Alta Vista.
So we will say, wait, Alta Vista has always done that?
Yes. There is no way out.
Okay.
Because they want separate invoices.
Right.
So if they want separate invoices, you have to keep them separate somehow.
So you would just copy and paste everything from the umbrella and then just change the contact.
No. Actually, there are 2 accounts. There are 2 companies there.
Okay.
They maintain 2 companies. For the same company, they maintain 2 companies records. One for one invoice, second for second invoice.
Okay.
Because the company demanded, their customer that is demanded that, hey, you know what, we want to track everything separately. When they wanted to track everything separately, they just created separate invoices for them. Everything is separate. Everything is separate. The contacts that are listed under company 1, and company 1 first record and the company 1 second record, both contacts sometimes are same, sometimes are not. They just say we want to be treated differently.
Okay, so that's just at the customer's discretion.
And this is quite understandable. Most of web businesses are like that. For example, you can go to Yahoo or Hotmail and create 2-3 accounts. You want the emails of one account come to the other, or the second? No, right? You want to be treated separately, and they honor that. Do they try to deduplicate your last name, first name? So that means three Kenny Kumars must be existing in their database. Is it right?
Right.
Do they care? No.
No,
their business is like that. Their business is like that. So they have a different problem. Same company has to exist 3 times in their business. You know, some companies are existing 200 times in their business, in their database, because that company has decided to work in 200 ways with them. There is no way for them to club them, because if they club them, they will not be able to support the processes. Their process demands that they treat them differently. So I, as a data migration person in Alta Vista, is facing a lot of problem. They have in legacy system, they have all these 200 people, and in Siebel has to deduplicate everything. Siebel doesn't allow entering duplicate data. So we don't know what to do. So we are asking them, what is the difference? They say everything is same. Name is same, They are in USA, everything is same. I said, at least the address should be different. No, everything is same. I said, how can you keep such a thing? But then if you study their business, it makes sense.
Right.
If you in Siebel, by the way, you cannot enter duplicate data because of certain rules. See, in Siebel,
to keep it from getting too cluttered.
Yeah. So the 3 levels, right? Database, business logic, and GUI. So in GUI, we don't have many rules. So we can have rules at the database and this thing level.
And the business
And
logic.
if you have something at the database level, you have to honor it. There is no way to go around it. In Siebel, there's a rule
That's
at the
your
database
back end.
level.
That's where the rules lie.
Name and the country name and the address have to be different. Actually, name and there's a thing called as location. I'll tell you the importance of that later. But that has to be separate. Location is usually like the country.
Okay.
That has to be different. And these guys have same thing. In US, they have 300 such accounts. Same company existing 300 times. We don't know what to do with it actually. And I'm having a lot of problems there. That is the reason we have a huge document around just this requirement of Alta Vista, that we create 300 such people. I said, they're all same. They said, no, they're all different for us because we support them differently.
Is there not any way to take the name or the initials of the contacts that are separate on each one? No, the contacts are the same too, huh?
We'll tell you. We'll tell you how to solve these riddles.
Okay.
There are solutions to these riddles. Important thing is you understand this riddle. And important thing is you have a thought process to understanding that the opportunity is not a potential revenue generating event. You model the business. You look at the business. You look at it as a separate study. You study it and see what should be set up as an account, what is basically like a contact, what should be set up as an opportunity, what should be set up as an activity, what should be an order, what should be an asset. You think on the go, in the office.
Right.
This is what your main job is. That's what really entity work boils down to. So if you cram that account is an external business, it's not going to work apart. If you understand what should be set up as an account, see, rule of thumb that I try to use is if it has a TIN, business, SSN, contact.
Oh yeah.
That's a
tax identification number and social security number. Yeah.
But I have seen this rule getting defeated all the time.
At work. Impractical practice.
For example, in Alta Vista. Right?
You would automatically assume 3 something to be SSN, but you still have to enter it as business.
In case of Abbott Labs would be a good example. Like doctors, they'll be working on their SSN. So let's say you set up them as a contact, and the invoices are going to them, and that's how the business is. But the other system where the invoice is generated remembers, okay, I'll get a digit number and I have to send the invoice to that. All of a sudden the doctor hires somebody, then he fires that guy. So what is he? He's again just account and contact, then again becoming contact. It's all very difficult to model and think, how to maintain consistency, that every invoice that goes out, it goes out to all the accounts. So it is our invoicing at the account level. That means that person contact has to be entered twice. Once as an account, once as a contact. Even that is a possibility.
Okay.
Right?
Right. I was going to ask if you could do that without it being rejected out of the system.
You can build rules, yeah.
Okay.
You can build rules. So that is customizability.
Okay.
So you can customize this thing. Like everything customized.
Everything customized.
So address is very clear. All this. So this important thing is, see, again, now you have the right thought process actually. This is what I really wanted you to learn. Account, contact, there are 300 screens.
Right.
I cannot tell you the purpose of all that.
Of course.
The important thing is to understand the philosophy behind it.
Figure out how to figure it out.
Figure out how to figure it out. It's really figure out how to figure out, what to figure out, and how to figure out.
And where to go get the figure
There
out.
are 4 levels of figuring out actually, and and it's easy. Because we have solved in our everyday day-to-day life. In our day-to-day life, we solve even more complex problems. Like I can tell you, like insurance, it's a very complex tool. You study it, right? So you apply yourself, and that's what I told you in the beginning itself. You have all been doing CRM work, right? But the only thing is you have been doing it as a customer.
Right.
Now you'll be doing it as a business analyst, as an IT implementation person, and before that you'll be doing it as a user, sales rep or a service rep, right? So all these things come together. You can see that you already are ready for it. The only thing is you have to change the perspective. So I like that thing, that you have a very good perspective. These things you need to model. Okay. So again, coming back, is an instance of a asset, is an instance of a purchased product, has the following characteristics: asset number, product and part number status, Actually, he should say more agreement and what all went there with it. There's
Yeah,
a lot of stuff that goes with it.
warranty, everything. Yeah,
Yes, there's a lot of stuff that goes with it. Types of applications.
shipping, whatever. Just in case somebody calls and says I didn't get my computer.
Oh, yes, of course. I didn't get my computer actually.
Yeah.
I mean, 2.5 years back.
Acha.
Yeah, I didn't get my computer and I had to call them. So asset has already been there. So where will they enter the service request? They will enter the service request against that asset record.
Right.
That this person called regarding this asset. So next day again called. So they'll enter another service request so that they know that I called twice.
Mm-hmm.
Third time also I called. You see. So and then one very interesting when that when they send me another laptop, it bombed within 2 days. Yeah, it happened.
Where did you order from?
Dell.
Acha.
It happened. Actually, I have a lot of Spark in my hand. You can't imagine how much I have.
No, I can't.
Because you have a lot?
I don't know. A lot of weird things. This is off, right?
Anyway, so we see the customer application, employee application difference. If you do not know the difference, please talk to your trainer. But this is a very important difference. And I think I explained it in the previous slide also. You still need to understand it very, very well. Type of user interfaces, high interactivity and standard interactivity. In one of my in one of my other chapters, I've explained high interactivity and standard interactivity very, very well. It really is a matter of like how much bandwidth and all those stuff, right? So I have explained it very well somewhere else. You need to look at that. Benefits of high interactivity UI. Okay, this is good. So okay, we need to really look at. You need to understand the meaning of each and everything. Saves data implicitly by stepping off. Guess what? I'm trying to kill the time thinking, ki